It's a quiz competition program. It's a religious thing. It's not a fun thing only.
That's fine. They can do their program. That's fine.
So
There's not a push.
yeah, because there's a last night.
Right. If they want to do that program, everybody's okay with it. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Quite a few people asked me about that. I said, "Well, you guys decide to do it, but then organize it." Oh, it's already 6:50, brother.
Okay, let me get my glasses. Inshallah, we'll start. $68. Aman no mammer. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون واتخذوا من دون الله إلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أفلم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين واضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام ويحيي الرميم قل يحيي الذي أنشاها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أفليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو خلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية أمير المؤمنين. Alhamdulillah, we were fortunate to finish Surah Yasin. Inshallah, tomorrow we start with Surah Ar-Rahman and Isal Sawab to Imam Zamanana and to our Marhumina, Guzashtagan, people who we owe them, and they raised us, the grandfather and fathers. Sadaq Allahu al-Azim. Ya Allah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, inshallah, we start. Thank you, Mustafa, for beautiful recitation. And we start with the Quran with the children's recitation now. Today, first is one of the kids, Mustafa, doing the Quran Surah Qadr today. You ready, Mustafa?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Today I'm going to read Surah Al-Qadr. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Wama adraka ma laylatul qadr. Laylatul qadri khairun min alfi shahr. Tanazzalul malaikatu warruhu fiha. بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر.
MashaAllah, beautiful job. You did a great job, Mustafa. Good. So you can practice some more for next time?
Yeah.
Inshallah. Okay, now our next presenter is Alize, who will be talking about generosity, especially in the month of Ramadan. Is a good topic. And remember, generosity and making donations for the program fund and other expenses of the center, brothers, sisters. So, Alize, are you ready?
Yeah, okay. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Alize, and today I will be talking about generosity. Generosity means to be giving and kind. Its direct translation in Arabic is al-karam. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, generosity is the most honorable habit. When asked what generosity is, Imam Hassan alayhi salam said it is donation before request and feeding people during drought. This means that we should help people without them asking. There are two types of generosity. The first one is when you give extra or things that you don't need, like leftovers from dinner. The second type is when you give more than what you have. It means to give things that you yourself need. Generosity in different forms. Imam Musa al-Qasim alayhi salam has said, the best of generosity is to help the oppressed. This means that you don't have to be rich or give away money in order to be generous. You can give your time, knowledge, or help. For example, volunteer at the Islamic Center. You can even be generous in your own home. For example, offer some extra help to your parents. Another example is that Imam Zainal Abidin alayhi salam used to regularly help the poor by carrying sacks of dates and bread to their houses. When Imam Zainal Abidin alayhi salam passed away, he had a scar on his back. When people asked what it was replied, this is due to the sacks of flour that the Imam carried to the poor of Medina during the darkness of the night. Our charity has passed away with him. Imam Hassan alayhi salam has said, the most generous of people is the one who gives to those whom he has no hope of return. This means that even if you don't get your reward immediately, remember that Allah is just, so he will always give you a reward. And remember that Imam Ali alayhi salam said, generosity hides shortcomings. A generous Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, a generous person is a friend of Allah and a miser is an enemy of Allah. Let's go further into miserliness. This means to be cheap. Another way to say this is to give very little of what you have to someone who needs it. Just like you can be generous with other things than money, you can be stingy with things other than money. There should never be miserliness in your home. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also said, "Indeed, an ignorant person who is generous is dearer to God than a worshiper who is miserly." Balance and generosity. The key to being a good Muslim is to have a balance in life. Just like there needs to be a balance in life, there needs to be a balance between generosity and miserliness. This means that neither should we give away everything we have and make our family suffer, nor should we keep everything for ourselves. We need to find the right balance between these two. Ramazan benefits. There are many, many benefits to being generous. One of them being the blessings from Allah. This is the month of Ramazan, and all of us are fasting. We can multiply our blessings by increasing the acts of generosity in this month. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was the most generous of people, and was even more generous during the month of Ramadan and increased his recitations in Quran. Doing charity erases our sins, and we should take advantage of this and be extra generous during Ramadan. May Allah accept all our efforts and bless us with the companionship of Imam Izamana. Please recite Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah, great job, Aliza. You did a good presentation. It's very appropriate. Topic is very good, especially for the Ramazan Manran and talking about the generosity. Again, one more time, Mustafa, you did a great recitation of Surah Qadr, and Aliza, there's presentation on generosity. Both did a great job. Now, just a reminder, as you guys know, that we have to meet expenses, especially for the programs throughout the year. Even though we are doing it Zoom, we still have to have other expenses associated with it. I don't want to get into details, the speaker and other expenses that to maintain the building, utilities, all that. So please make generous donations in this month for program. Our goal is to raise at least $8,000 in this month, so we can meet the expenses of program for Ramadan and some few of it will not cover the whole year, but it will cover few. So please donate generously. I posted the address a couple of days ago on the Az-Zahra announcement group and a Kansas City group. I will post the address again. You can mail those checks to that address. I will do it a little bit later in the evening to mail, so you guys can check mails to those address. And then other can give you receipts in the end of the year for tax purposes, inshallah. Ruba, you have something you want to?
Ji, inshallah, I can try some. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. I'll recite in one qabat for Imam Ali alayhi salam. You all have probably listened several times, but one more time. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. जब खुदा को पुकारा अली आ गए, जब अली आ गए जिंदगी आ गई, जिंदगी बंदगी रोशनी आ गई, रोशनी आ गई आ गई आ गई, मौत इनके मुहिबों को आती नहीं, आ भी जाए तो फिर बच के जाती नहीं, मौत इनके मुहिबों को आती नहीं, आ भी जाए तो फिर बच के जाती नहीं, मौत का क्या हज़र, मौत से क्या खतर, जिससे डरना भी क्या आ गई आ गई, गुस्ले मैयत न कहना मेरे गुस्ल को, उजले मलबूस को मत कफन नाम दो, غسل میت نہ کہنا میرے غسل کو، اجل ملبوس کو مت کفن نام دو، میں چلا ہوں علی سے ملاقات کو، جس کی تھی آرزو وہ گھڑی آ گئی، جبرائیل اور قمبر پہ کیا منحصر، در تیرا چھوڑ کر کوئی جاتا نہیں، جبرائیل اور قمبر پہ کیا منحصر، در تیرا چھوڑ کر کوئی جاتا نہیں، جو غلامی کا تیری مزہ پا گیا، راس جس کو تیری نوکری آ گئی، جب خدا کو پکارا علی آ گئے، جب علی آ گئے زندگی آ گئی، عشق جب تک نہ ہو شعر ہوتا نہیں، مجھ میں کب اہلیت تھی تیری مدح کی، عشق جب تک نہ ہو شعر ہوتا نہیں، مجھ میں کب اہلیت تھی تیری مدح کی، میرے مولا میں قربان تیرے عشق کے، سبط جعفر کو بھی شاعری آ گئی، جب خدا کو پکارا علی آ گئے، جب علی آ گئے زندگی آ گئی، زندگی بندگی روشنی آ گئی، روشنی آ گئی آ گئی آ گئی، ارے حیدری یا علی مدد، اللہم صلی اللہ محمد وعلی محمد۔
Just a reminder, inshallah, we do the dua at 10 o'clock for dua ibtida. And Jata Shura as usual. Jamil bhai, you have any announcement about Imam al-Zamana Fund or fitra that you're planning to collect? Any clarification on how to collect it?
I don't think he's here.
I think he was trying to connect, but I think it's disconnected.
Oh, okay.
I saw his name.
Sure.
He was without video, but then I think he must be trying to fix it and it's gone.
He also posted a couple of announcements on the announcement group regarding the fitra collection. So
No, there were people asking question about Venom and other form of payments, you know.
yeah, he said the only way he can accept is check.
Yeah, okay.
But Brother Mustafa has other options. So if the people who have
What is
fitra
it?
for Sayyids, yeah.
Brother Mustafa, you want to say something about fitra?
Well, inshallah, we're going to collect the fitria as a service, and it's better that we do it in a cash form so we can pass it along to the people who need it. But if people are forced to send it with, Cash App or pay, they can send it as a form of cash. So there's no expenses with it, and it's just like a donation. And inshallah, we'll get it
So
to
what,
the design.
so what forms you can accept on that if somebody wants to use those platforms?
PayPal and or Cash App.
So you can accept PayPal payments and cash out payments.
Yeah.
And Jamil can only do the checks, right, Murtaza
Yes.
Bhai?
Yeah. And people, if they want to send check, that's fine too. They can
Jamil
send
is
it.
here, so he can let you know. Brother Jamil is here.
So we're talking about how we can collect the money for Fitra. So Mustafa was talking, he can accept PayPal and cash out along with checks, and you will accept the checks, Jamil.
Brothers, do we have to send this before Eid?
Yes. Fitra has to be out before the Eid prayers. That's the Shari'i ruling. You can do in advance with intentions, I think they explained in the group, but
Yeah.
it has to be taken out right before uh, the prayers in the morning. But if you do in advance, like you do it now and send out the check now, so there's a way to do that. And I think Brother Mahbub put an explanation how to do
Yeah,
that.
so I think Sister Manaz did that, so I forwarded it. So it will be as an intention of a loan to the person whom you are giving, and on the day of Eid, you change your intention to Fitra.
Actually, I think we can ask Maulana to explain that too in his lecture, because when people
Yeah,
understand when
that's
taking
a
out
good idea.
advance, because sometimes people get confused about it and they might not do it properly, you know.
True.
Yes.
But it's just the intention which you have to change,
Yeah. So we can ask him about I will ask him up front in the beginning before he starts lecture, so he
Okay.
can explain it today or tomorrow towards the end when most people are present, because we normally people in our center, they normally do before the prayer, so don't have to think about this detail, right?
True.
But
True.
now this year is different, so
Very
people
different.
need to know how to do it properly.
Right.
I know a couple of years ago when we were talking about taking out in, actually it is better to take out in advance so people can have the money on the Eid day, you know, because the whole idea of this people getting this fitra money so they can have Eid too, and they have money on that day. That's why they want to be given to the families before the Eid prayers, right, Marco?
Yeah, but I don't know about the technicalities. So
No, I'm just talking about that's the whole idea when
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
to do before the namaz, but obviously we live in a different society, different times. It's not like
Right.
back home when you have no families and give it to them before the at the night, you know.
Right. Right.
Abu Ali, Imam Said has said that they will deliver it night before. The hukum is that the zakat should be taken out before the prayer. Anything after the prayer is not considered as zakat al-fitr.
Yeah.
That's the only difference.
Yes.
But you can pay the people before prayers.
Yes. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. And that's better, because I know in Pakistan when I was young, we take out the money and give it to the families at night time, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, before the Eid day, you mean? Before Eid day?
Anytime,
Yeah.
anytime
I
after
think
Maghrib.
it's
the day
after
starts.
Maghrib. It's due at Maghrib.
Oh, okay.
It has due at Maghrib and it should be done by the prayer.
Yeah.
It has to be taken out before the prayers and it's due as soon as the Maghrib starts.
Okay.
The night before. Yes.
Yeah. I think the whole idea was to these needy families can have something the night before the Eid, you know.
Definitely.
But I mean, here we cannot do that. If Imam doing it, that's good, because that's why the Imam started this thing 3-4 years ago, to start collecting in advance so they can send the money and people can have the money before the Eid. That's why they started like this. It's just us have to have a right intention. And I
True.
think Nana can do a better job explaining a little more.
Have you announced for donations to stream in for the month? Or do you want me to do it?
For a month, you mean
Yeah, the allocated amount that we need to have minimum amount for the expenses.
You're talking about center expenses or Imam?
Yes. Can you announce it again?
I announced for the program fund that we targeted this for 8,000, but I don't remember the whole minimum monthly amount that we need every month for center.
No, anything people want to give, donate this.
Oh, okay.
For this
monthly donations.
This one more chance to announce, inshallah.
Yeah, so like Brother Jamil brought up that some people already have signed up for monthly donations. They automatically come out of the bank account a certain date of the month. So that's the easiest and most convenient way to make donations on a regular basis. It does not have to be a big amount, any dollars, 10, 20, 15, 30, 50, whatever. You can sign up through the website. A little bit of the money is always come out of your account to the Az-Zahra to meet regular expenses. And then we do these drives during Ramazan and before Muharram to collect money for Muharram and Ramazan expenses, plus for the rest of the year programs as well. But if somebody wants to do regular donation, the easiest thing to do is sign up on the website and have a little bit amount come every month. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a big amount. Any amount you can think easily can do. I want to be clear about one thing. This thing came up a couple of times before too, since we have time. So those WhatsApp groups like Cancer group or announcement group or sisters group, the Kesi Anjuman, or any program that has been associated with the Az-Zahra, they are not official WhatsApp groups, and Az-Zahra Center does not bear any responsibility for the content of those WhatsApp groups. They're independently managed and run, and Az-Zahra as a group, as an organization, that has nothing to do with any of those groups, because it came up, some people was objecting about the content one point. So just since we have opportunity and waiting for Maulana, so I want to clear this thing up. All of those groups are independent, and center is not responsible for the content or anything to do with those groups. The announcement groups is also semi-official, but it's only used for announcements. It's not board approved WhatsApp group for the represent center as such. We just using it. I with some other brothers made only to use for announcements and keep it free from all other kind of posts. So it'll be organized way of knowing what's going on the center. But none of them are official or represent center by any means. And Maulana is here. So Maulana, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I have one request before you start. You know, as coming and we have to take out the fitra, and we understand that you can take out the fitra in advance, but you have to have way of doing it in terms of niyat. So if you can some point today or tomorrow before Eid, you can explain that how you can send the money in advance, but you have to change your niyat. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Should I answer right now, or do you want me to?
It's up to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, why not? I can, inshallah, every day before the talk for a few minutes, maybe we can talk about the rules regarding fitriya and also about what you just mentioned. I'll answer that, but even more on the details about zakat al-fit, or for those who are sick, or for sisters with pregnancy and all that. I'll explain, inshallah, every day, maybe a few minutes of rules, inshallah.
Thank you.
Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إلهنا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين روحي وأرواحنا وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم إن تبدوا الصدقات فنعما هي وإن تخفوها وتؤتوها الفقراء فهو خير لكم ويكفر عنكم من سيئاتكم والله بما تعملون خبير. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that your a'mal during the nights of Qadr, especially last night, is maqbool and accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And may Allah grant us forgiveness and bless us and bestow upon us His mercy in the month of Ramadan, inshallah. And I hope you remembered me and the other mu'mineen in your du'as and prayers as well. Regarding the question of fitriya or zakatul fitr, it's an obligation for a mu'min to separate from his income or from his wealth amount for the zakatul fitr. As you know, zakatul fitr is not money, it's food. But because of the environment we live in is not, for some reason, possible to provide food for, especially for those maybe that they are eligible to receive zakat. People, they send money to certain charities or certain cities and countries in order to make sure people who are eligible and those who are in need are going to benefit from zakat al-fitr. And because of that, sometimes is necessary to send money ahead of time. And because the time that to pay zakat al-fitr start on the night of Eid, and you pay it at the early hours of the day of Eid before Eid prayers. And as you know, with the pandemic, and that whole tradition is right now, it's changed, and we have to probably do our Eid prayers at home. And as you know, you can do Eid prayers at home. I'll talk about that as well in the coming days. But it is permissible to send your money ahead of time. And all you have to do, the niyat, is that you delegate. It means that you give the money to someone, or even to the person who's in need, and you ask them to be the delegate. And then on the night of the Eid, or on the day of Eid, you basically said then you have the right to own it. So that's all it is that basically we don't consider to pay the zakat if we send money ahead of time. All we do is we give it to them and said, okay, this is going to be with you as a loan, or as an, again, you can keep it, but I will give you the authority or permission on the day of Eid. So even if they use it ahead of time, on the day of Eid, you can say, Ya Allah, I forgive that as my zakat al-fitr. And because you give that delegate power to someone. It could be a person who works in a charity, your relative, or it could be the poor and the needy himself or herself that they receive the zakat. So that's all it is. It doesn't need to say something special. All it is you don't pay, and you don't intend to pay zakat al-fitr ahead of time. All it is, you give the money as to a delegate, to somebody to pay it on your behalf on the night of Eid or on the day of Eid. So if you want to give it to a poor that they're in need, maybe even before, then you give it to them as a qard, as a loan, and then on the day of Eid or the night of Eid, on the day of Eid, you forgive that loan, and that will count as your zakat, as your zakat al-fitr. If you have follow-up question, feel free. Inshallah, I'll use the same platform. I'm pretty sure maybe some people have more follow-up question. And if you go to the website, Slido, I'll do my best, inshallah, to answer questions at the end regarding even this subject, as I said. But it is not necessary to say something special. It doesn't have any special wording or statement or phrases. Rather, it's about knowing that when zakat al-fitr becomes wajib, and when you are making that intention to be paid. So even if you pay it ahead of time, you did with the intention of giving that delegate power to someone else. So inshallah, I'll talk about rules regarding fidya, kafara, and zakat al-fitr in the coming days as well. Every day, maybe a few minutes at the beginning of our talk, inshallah. But going back to our subject from yesterday, we talked about the importance of knowing our self-worth. And we talked about Ria, and we talked about the importance of two underlying cause of Riyah, to recognize them and try to deal with them. Because if we don't know what's the issue, if we don't know how we can get better, then we can't blame anyone to continue making the same mistakes. We need a solution. So a solution, like any other disease, in a spiritual disease, is that the first step to take is to identify the cause, and identify the underlying reason that why we are the way we are and why we act the way we act. So for Ria, and for this need of showing off or pretending, it goes back to number one, low self-esteem. And that comes from lack of knowledge to self-worth. If somebody, they don't know how important they are, that they don't need other people to tell them or to show them, some kind of compliment, or get certain number of views on the internet or TikTok, or get likes to know that I'm good, I'm important, I'm valuable. Rather, you have to come to that understanding yourself. And the second one was this need for instant gratification, lack of patience, that people do Riyah because they say, yes, I do it for God, but when I do it for people, they appreciate, they show it right away. But when I do it for Allah, again, it's going to be a process of getting the result over time. So that's why this nature of looking for getting a paid off day quickly and not having enough patience has also contribute to Riyah and this disease of showing off or looking for approval, confirmation, and applause from others. And we said that self-worth is important. That's why in the tradition of Ahlul Bayt, we have that don't choose those who mock your religion, they ridicule your belief as friends, because that affects your identity, that affects your perception of yourself. And what it does is that sometimes when we surround ourselves with people who are maybe they have that dominant personality, they have that charisma, without even knowing why, we start pretending to be in a way that they want us to be. So let's say if you have in a circle of friends that there is this, sister or this brother who, as I said, they have that charisma, they have that talent of talk in a certain way, or maybe it's just their social skills, is that when we are there, we usually, we are the one that being picked on, we are getting made fun of. So Quran said, don't choose those kind of environments as your friendship or companion. Somebody deserves to be your friend that minimum is decent enough to respect you. Not that they stay quiet and they don't tell you about your flaws. No, we have the tradition from Ahlul Bayt that the best of your friends, as Imam Baqir narrated from Ahlul Bayt, that أحب إخواني إلي من أهدى إلي عيوبي, the best of my friends is the one who gift me and provide me with the gift of my flaws. It means tells me what's wrong with me. And by the way, the word ahda, hidya, and gift means that your friend, yes, they criticize you, they mention your flaws, but in a proper way. The same way when you give a gift to someone, these are the beauties and the language of the hadith and Arabic. That when you say ahda ilayya uyubi, is not that they tell me. Maybe in translation, they said the hadith says the best of my friend is the one who tells me my mistakes or my flaws. But the word of the Imam is that it gifts, is a hidya, as a gift, they give me my flaws. It means that the same way you don't just, God forbid, throw a gift at someone, you make sure you wrap it, you make sure it look nice, and then you offer it. And criticism is also the arts and the skills, that how you approach criticizing someone, not criticizing rather than guiding someone, maybe if you care for them, advising them. So if you want to advise them, if you want to warn them, you do it in a proper way, without disrespecting them, without humiliation, without ridicule. That's a good friend. And that's why we have that when it comes to a sin, one thing is to do amr bil ma'ruf, nahi anil munkar, is to enjoin toward good, forbid from evil. But we don't have in the teaching of Ahlul Bayt that to humiliate someone. Humiliation is forbidden, even for somebody who committed a sin. So imagine even if somebody committed greatest sin and now they're going to be punished, to mock them, to make fun of them, to blame them, to, as I said, humiliate them with your comments. The hadith said from Ahlul Bayt that if somebody humiliates someone, make fun of someone for a sin, they will not die unless they commit that sin themselves. Subhanallah. How important it is that we maintain somebody's self-worth, even a sinner. Because when we do amr bil ma'ruf nahy anil munkar, that is to protect their integrity, their self-respect, their soul. Is not to, God forbid, belittle them. That was never the intent of amr bil ma'ruf nahy anil munkar. That's why we have in the hadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, Ya Allah, I don't know, the more and more I see some of our interactions in our communities. Right now is harder for me to see, but I used to travel a lot before this pandemic, go to different communities around the US and even around the world. And sometimes, especially when I'm there for a long period of time, maybe I'm there for Muharram or for Ramadan for a while, you start to notice, not that you're not trying to investigate or anything. You're not trying to, eardrop or try to spy. No, it's very public that the way people deal with each other in the name of being amira bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar, that they want to be good and they want to help people, is that they make fun of people. For example, a young man comes and they're making a mistake in their adhan. Amr bil ma'ruf nahy anil munkar is that you try to guide them. But the hadith of Ahlul Bayt said, when you do amr bil ma'ruf nahy anil munkar, when you try to do that in public, you are hurting them. It's like you're abusing them when you do it in public. And when you are doing it in private, you do amr bil ma'ruf, they make a mistake, they have some wrong, and you try to help them. When you do it in private, you honor them. Ya Allah, how beautiful approach of Ahlul Bayt is toward tarbiyah, is toward helping other people. That you don't undermine somebody's self-worth. That's why it's not ever permissible to humiliate someone for a sin. And I've seen, for example, this person made a mistake in their adhan, rather than in private telling them that my son, my brother, in that part that you said, this is, I think, the right way to recite the adhan. I've heard people, and we're talking about, alhamdulillah, those individuals that they're not young people, they are, mashallah, elders of the community. They shout, what's wrong with you? You should be ashamed of yourself. You don't know adhan? You don't know how to recite it correctly? Where in our religion Allah gave us a permission to treat someone like that, even if they make a mistake in their adhan? In what part of the teaching of Quran Ahlul Bayt speaking like that, belittling someone, consider amr bil ma'ruf nahy anil munkar? That approach. That's why we need etiquette. That's why in the hadith, la dina liman la adab lah. If you don't have adab, if you don't have etiquette, you don't have religion. Adab is everything. Adab of the way we talk, adab of how we deal with people, adab of how we deal with ourselves, with our family. So the more and more I read about this subject of how to deal with riyah, they're intertwined, they're connected with other subjects. That people, they end up doing riyah because someone treated them, unfortunately, in some cases, they were disrespected, humiliated, and now they pretend. You get the connection? That if somebody is, they're appreciated when they do something good, and when they make a mistake, their correction is done properly with etiquette, privately, without belittling them. That person will find a way to reform, rather than somebody who was, as I said, shout at and ridicule and made fun of. That person is going to change. They're going to pretend. They're going to hide themselves because they're going to be scared all the time. That when I was brave enough to volunteer to recite adhan, and I cared enough to do adhan. Because a lot of people, they don't even want to. They don't even consider it's reciting adhan. They consider that, God forbid. We know some people that they consider reciting adhan somehow belittling to them. Oh, no, I'm not going to recite adhan. And for somebody who knows the value of it, and now they want to recite adhan and they care for it, to be attacked like that, they're going to change. They're going to hide themselves. Not only we didn't fix anything, we created a new damage. That's why we don't have a right to make fun of a sinner. Said, yeah, this is what you deserve. You committed this sin, that's why God did this to you. Be careful. If somebody's son or daughter or family member, they're lost, that's not the time to go to them, so it's your fault. Yeah, that's what you get. That's because you wronged me, you oppressed me. Don't put salt on the wound. That's not the manner and the etiquette of a believer. That when somebody's down, you don't kick them further down. You try to help them to stand up. So in the concept and the subject of riyah, self-worth, low self-esteem are related. Sometimes because we don't know how valuable we are as a creation of God. And sometimes other made us think we are worthless. And sometimes even parents can do that. Balance in everything is the key. We have balance. We have parents who, again, they are excessive in their attention to their children, and they create spoiled children. They make a big deal out of everything. Even when they make mistakes, they give them an applause. That child does not recognize, okay, that my actions have different reaction in the real world. And you have the other way, the negligent parents that regardless of how good, how accomplished, how righteous their child could be, no acknowledgement, nothing. Out of fear, oh, we don't want to spoil them. With one compliment, with one fair acknowledgement, nobody will be spoiled. Rather, they will understand that their accomplishment, their hard work is being noticed. So these are, again, very practical, pragmatic lessons from religion, from Ahlul Bayt, from teachings of Quran, for all of us. That's why when we talk about riyah, we're talking about for people who pretend that they show off. Why they do that? Because they try to find an external stimulus. They try to find some kind of self-worth from others. That's not a sustainable plan. It's going to fail. One day you're popular, one day you're not popular. That's the way the world is. That's why you should not base your self-worth on popularity. And I'm not even going to use examples of celebrities and famous people, that what they went through and how depression came to them, and is it connected to their fame, and is a subject I'm not going to talk about, but you can think about it, you can read about it. That if you base your self-worth on popularity, everything has in time, everything. People who were famous on YouTube 5 years ago and 10 years ago, a lot of them they're gone. Especially right now, that you're TikTok famous, you're Instagram famous, it's not going to last long. Even those who they continued and they continue growing and being successful, it's not necessarily a reason that they're happy. How many people, I was reading about these people that they call themselves Instagram models, and they literally said that how miserable they were, that they quit everything, that they were putting this sham and this persona of being happy and successful and healthy, but behind those videos and those photos, it was all depression, and it was self-hate, and it was bad comments and bullying. That's why when you come to Allah, you find the tranquility. During this pandemic, maybe your children are concerned. Maybe as they see your concern, your anxiety, it will it will transfer, it will affect them. Remember, Allah is with us. As we recite Quran, read those ayah. Inna ma'iya rabbi sayahdeen. In the most difficult time, Musa alayhi salam facing a challenge, task like, and difficult task like dealing with Fir'aun, said, my Lord is with me. Allah is with me. He is the one who take care of me. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. When you say it in your prayers, remember, Ya Allah, you are the Lord. You are the caregiver of the universe. So nothing is going to happen. I do what I have to do. I follow the guidelines. But I will not have anxiety. I trust in you. So in the teachings of the Quran and Ahlul Bayt, the importance is to don't be of those that they give charity for the sake of attention. As Quran says, don't be one of those that their charity is يراؤون الناس والذين ينفقون أموالهم رئاء الناس. Quran said those that they give charity, but they do it for people to see them, to be noticed. ولا يؤمنون بالله ولا باليوم الآخر. They have no faith in God or Day of Judgment. ومن يكن الشيطان له قرينا فساء قرينا. Such a person chose shaitan as a buddy, as a companion. And what a bad and what a worse choice is to choose shaitan as your companion. So underlying cause of riyah is, as I said, goes back to self-worth, low self-esteem, and secondly, instant gratification, lack of patience. We talk about the lack of patience and how we can teach, and I promise to talk about that. I'll elaborate on the patience tomorrow, because today I want to elaborate a bit more on the subject of how we can inflict someone's life with taking away their self-worth, their confidence, with disrespect, with mocking, with humiliation. We can take away that confidence, and we are responsible for that. And sometimes we are making people who end up becoming mura'i, people who become so shallow. One thing about people who are showing off is that everything is on the surface. We do for the people. There's nothing deeper. There's nothing more meaningful. Why? Because once they were doing it without caring for what's happening, people attack them. Oh, why are you reciting Adhan like this? Why are you doing like that? They were so humiliated because when they were themselves, and now they show off and pretend. Even if they don't pray, even if they don't pray, the way we approach that person is, my brother, my sister, my beloved son and daughter. If you're not talking to Allah, you're losing. If you're not facing Qibla and the loss is yours, God is not going to lose anything. For the khair of dunya, for the barakah of dunya, for the barakah of your akhirah, that there is more to life than just this few years that we have on this earth. That we were not created to be mortal. That our soul is immortal. That's the way you approach. Rather than approaching people, said, oh, I knew it, you're going to be like this. I knew it. I told you so. These are not Amr Ma'ruf. or you are wicked, you're evil. So in the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, while it's very important to talk about Riyah, but at the same time, it's not that we should not show acknowledgement. It's not that we should not appreciate. From the point of view of the one that is doing something for the sake of God, we should not look for praise or approval or applause. From the point of view of someone that we're doing something good. But from the point of view of somebody who is receiving the help of others, the good of others, if I'm the recipient, the tradition said you have to be grateful. That is like your parents, your children, your spouse, being grateful, even verbally saying thank you is a minimum. Imam Rida alayhi salam said, if you're incapable of being grateful to creations of God, you will not be able to be grateful to Allah. That's why Quran in Surah Luqman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Anishkur li wa li waliday. Be grateful to me and to your parents. But at the beginning of that ayah, Allah says that remember, your parents, especially your mom, is the one who carried you. Weakness upon weakness. He fed you. And he made a home for you from her own existence and body for you. If your friend crash at your couch for a couple of weeks, you'll be frustrated, even if it's your best friend. And your mom carried you for 9 months. And ishkurli, be grateful to me, to Allah, wali waliday, and to your parents. Because if you're not grateful to creations of God, how you can be grateful to the one that he is the one that provided all these means and faculties? That's why Imam Ali alayhi salam said, إِذَا صُنِعَ إِلَيْكَ مَعْرُوفٌ فَاذْكُرْ. When there is some kind of ma'ruf, some kind of good has been done to you, فَاذْكُرْ, then remember it. When we sit and, sometimes people say, what can we talk about? Yes, we can focus on the gossips and the negative and people's flaws and mistakes and shortcomings, or we can talk about when they're not present, talk about what a good person they are, what kind of good aspect of their life, that when I was in need, that person helped me. That's no riyah, because we're not talking about ourselves, we're talking about them. And it's selfless. And it fights our own ego when we talk good about others behind their back. That is fighting your own thirst of being the center of attention. It fights that narcissism need. So inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq of honoring people, having etiquette, manners, the way we deal with people, and stay away from humiliating others, from blaming others, from taunting others, even sinners. And don't confuse Amr bil Ma'ruf Nahy Anil Munkar with humiliating others. Do it properly, do it in private, do it with adab, manners, do it with care. As it's important, I said that when prophets of God, Quran said they came to their people. They said, oh people, I'm a messenger of God to you. That been said about Prophet Hud, Prophet Saleh, all these messengers of God. One thing that Quran repeats that they said that we are nasihun amin. Nasih means that we want the best for you. We have the best of intention for you. Amin means we're honest, we're trustworthy. You can trust us. We have the best of intention, we're trustworthy. In Amr bil Ma'ruf Nahy Anil Munkar and guidance, these are the key. That I'm not there to do Amr Ma'ruf to prove them that I'm better than them. Rather, I'm there because I care for them. I try to help them. Not pity, concern. I finish, inshallah, with one practical advice, because we talk about being grateful. There is a riwayah from the Imam over time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, Ajallah Ta'ala Fajr Sharif. Imam says in Bihar al-Anvar, volume 83, Sajdatu shukr min alzam as-sunani wa awjabih. To perform sajdah shukr is one of the most necessary traditions, is needed. So if you want to start being grateful, one step to take is after every wajib prayer, not only during the prayer, anytime. We have that Imam Qadim alayhi salam was traveling with his companion, and suddenly Imam alayhi salam came off the camel and he performed and prostrated and he did sajda. And then they continued their journey. So the companion of the Imam, Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam, asked him, what was the story behind the sajda? And Imam alayhi salam said, I was thinking about Allah's blessing and how blessed I am. And his na'amat. That's why I prostrated and I performed sajda. So sajda could be done anytime. It could be when you get a promotion, when you get accepted to college, when you get married, when you have a child, anything good, or even small things. When you buy your car, when you have, you buy your house. Ya Allah, I'm grateful. But especially after wajib prayers, after your daily prayers, it's highly recommended to perform sajda shukr. And we have many traditions about how important it is to perform it. And our ulama was their tradition to do it. And it's interesting, I was invited to UCLA for a Shia Sunni kind of dialogue, and they had this session, and they brought this Ahlul Sunnah chaplain. And one of the questions that people ask, and they were asking a lot of questions about Shia, and one question they ask is that after you finish your prayers, you go to sajda. Why is that? And it was, to me, it was, I chuckled. I said, what do you mean? Say, yeah, when the prayer is done, some of you go to sajda. They were, I think, maybe they thought that they caught us in the act that, oh, we're prostrating to someone beside God. I said, no, that's sajda to shukr. The sunnah is after the prayer. Some people do it right away after. Some people do some ta'qibat, some prayer, and then they go to sajda. I know that was amazing to me that even there's suspicion about sajda shukr. So do sajda shukr. It's very simple. After you're done, as I said, to do sajda shukr, you don't need to have wudu. Something, even you don't need to have face qibla. Sajda shukr is that at this moment I remember Allah's blessing. I want to go to sajda. And we have the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that one of the best state that a person could be, that they ask Rasulullah that how we can be resurrected with you, how we can be mahshur with you. And Rasulullah said, "A'inni bi kathrati sujud." Prophet said, if you want to be resurrected with me, assist me with abundance of prostration. Prostrate quite often. Sajda. Kathrat as-sujud. So after you're done with your prayers, maybe do your tasbihat Hazrat Fatima Az-Zahra, do the taqlim, and then go to sajda shukr. And if you don't have time, if you'll forget it, go after. And when you go on sajda, the minimum is to say 3 times, shukran lillah, shukran lillah, shukran lillah. Remember that you're grateful, that you cannot count. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you even try to count the number of Allah's blessing, you will not be able to. So inshallah, that help us to live that positive perception toward life, to focus on the blessing that we're grateful, rather than just focusing on what we need and what we ask for. It balance, and it free us from pessimism, from negativity, and to see the balance perception of life that is a mixture of khair and difficulty, trial and challenge as well. But khair and good and comfort is also there. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our amal in the month of Ramadan and give us the tawfiq of shukr. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen for this tawfiq of being the follower of Islam, to fast in Ramadan, the tawfiq of ihya of the night of Qadi Allah. We are grateful for all those. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq of being continuously grateful for the blessing of Allah, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So now we go to questions. I got one question here. They asked that how much is the kafara per fast for a sick person? So one thing is, I want you to know the difference is that kafara is for the people that usually is used for the people that they break their fast deliberately, purposely. The one that we're referring to people who are sick is fidya, which is again is the amount, but kafara usually has been known as a penalty for somebody who break their fast. So fidya for somebody who is sick, and this sickness is a chronic illness, that it means even after Ramadan you will not be able to make up your fast. It's continuous, is an some kind of health issue that you'll have it for the coming month as well till next Ramadan. Then you pay fidya, which is 750 grams of the staple food in where you live, or the amount equivalent of that. So depending on where you live, depend again, when you take a staple food, some will consider wheat, barley, date, rice, meat. So because of that, they are different. The price range is from $3 per day up to $5 per day. So if you are eating a lot of expensive food, go with the $5. If you're, what you're purchasing from the type of food, the staple food, are, average in price, then $3 is sufficient per day. They're asking for sawab or thawab purpose. Is it preferred to recite Quran in Arabic or translation also? I said there is not necessarily a choice between them. It's preferred to do both, because Quran is the original format is in Arabic. The same way we do our prayers daily in Arabic is wajib to be done in Arabic, our hamd and surah. So because of that, that language is the universal language of all Muslims. So we cannot ignore the importance of that. But at the same time, the Arabic language, it's supposed to be understood. We have to understand the meaning. So the translation help us in that path. But the translation are not perfect. As I said, sometimes there is a loss in translation of the message. So the best thing to do is, if you learn how to recite in Arabic, read the Arabic and then read the meaning and translation, and then think about it. If you have questions, ask questions about it. Don't only focus on quantity and I'm going to finish. If the way you can do it is to combine them, do combine of both. But if, let's say, if somebody, they don't know how to recite Arabic, first try to learn it. As a Muslim, inshallah, is an investment we have to make to learn how to pray correctly, how to fast correctly, and also, inshallah, how to recite Quran. As we have in Hadith of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that is not acceptable for our Shia to leave this dunya unless they already learn how to recite Quran or they're in process of learning Quran. So for elderly who's already, maybe they didn't have the opportunity and, the circumstances and maybe the family and the time, they were not, responsible for not learning. Allah is just. Allah is not going to hold them accountable. For somebody who could have learned and they didn't, because it was a bit of, challenge, or it was just, they preferred to go with the easier choice, then of course there's a responsibility. So do both. And in short, if you want to get the thawab, do both. But if you don't know how to recite in Arabic, then read the English translation or any other translation. And inshallah, there is a thawab in understanding the message of Allah. But if you only recite in Arabic and we don't understand it, that was not the purpose of Quran. The purpose of Quran was to be recited, inshallah, understood. They said they were listening to Quran when they are driving. So I did not even get a chance to go to slide. I want to make sure that we have. Okay, so let me answer the question as I take a look at the Slido questions if you have any. Okay, I got one question in the slide as well. So let me answer the question here first. They said if you are driving and a wajib sajda comes, and by the way, there are not that many. There are few of them. There are 4 wajib sajda. There are mustahab and manduba sajdas, which are not wajib, but there are 4 that they are wajib. There is Surah Fussilat, Surah Sajda, Surah Najm, and Surah Alaq. These are the 4 chapters that they have wajib sajda. So if you're listening to them, and that according to Maraji is that if that listening is a recorded recitation, it does not oblige you to perform sajda. It's not wajib to perform sajda. But if you listening to a live recitation, even if it's on radio or internet or TV, if it's live recitation and you listen and understand you listen to the entire ayah of sajda, then you must perform the prostration, wajib sajda. So, but in case of your question, I assume you listen to Quran that is already pre-recorded. So even if you listen to the ayah, it does not oblige you to perform sajda. Okay, they say why there is a slight difference of 10 minutes or so far for the namaz timing between the Shia and Ahlul Sunnah. It goes back to definition of Maghrib. So basically the difference goes back to the angle that after sunset happens. According to tradition, the Quran says, ثُمَّ أَتِمُّ الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ, that then they complete the fasting up to night. And sunset necessarily is not the night, and it's based on hadith. And if you remember, I don't remember exactly if it was last year or 2 years ago, Neil deGrasse Tyson also he tweeted something about it that he said something about that, this is the meaning of this ayah about when actually is the night, and which again to us it makes no sense, because that person is and people say, yeah, the Shia already doing it. If you say Muslims don't do it, yeah, a group of Muslims are known as Shia, they already follow what you're saying. But to support our stand, we don't need his statement, because he's also against, he's an atheist as well. So his argument and his, what you can call the statement regarding religion, it's not reliable, or is not even worthy of our attention. We follow this timing because of the definition of Maghrib is to wait a certain time, the certain angle of the sunset to go down, then we break our fast. It's only based on that, simply. But for Ahlul Sunnah, they consider the beginning of it. They don't need that basically dawn to settle down. They just do it at the early timing of that. Okay, so that's it. I think these are all the questions I got. If there are more questions, inshallah, maybe tomorrow we'll answer. If this question that they ask about the timing, the time difference is not enough, please, maybe you can ask a follow-up question and I can explain more. If you want a more scientific, detailed answer, I can provide that for you. I can send you articles on that how the measurement of the angles and the timing is being calculated. But ultimately, it goes back to the definition of the teaching of Ahlul Bayt, that what is the time of Maghrib. And the time of Maghrib is the time of Salat. It's not just the iftar time, it's the Maghrib time, as you mentioned in your question. So for us is, and also remember, it's always better to do your Salat when you're sure that is the time. Because if you do your Salat before the time, you have to redo it. But if you do your Salat 10, 15 minutes after the time, hypothetically, I'm taking, this is just maybe a probability approach that, again, what if what if, again, if you don't know which one's right, to go with the way we do is much safer. Not that that's why, but that could be also another evidence. Because to do your salat or to break your fast before time, it will require redo it. But if you do it 10, 15 minutes after the time, is not going to invalidate your fast, or is not going to invalidate your prayer. And it still is in the waqt fadilat, is on the valuable time, or the on time, still within the 10, 15 minutes you are on that time span. And that's another thing. I was in the same UCLA, the Shia Sunni conference, you can call it. I asked them, said, okay, because again, we study the madhahib, the other madhahib and sect of Islam, Hanbali, Shafi, Maliki, Hanafi. So is there, and I wanted the students to hear. So because he was asking me some question, I asked him some questions. So I just wanted to shed some light. If somebody, they don't break their fast right after the time of, the adhan, even according to them, is their fast going to be invalid? So no, but it's sunnah to do it right and it's better. And he tries to, no, I just wanted to know. Let's say if somebody deliberately, with no reason, they do it 20, 30 minutes later, is that according to fiqh, of any fiqh that you say, Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki, Hanbali, is that going to invalidate your fast? And he said, no. So okay, that's it. I just want to make sure we know that why sometimes there is a lot of pressure and insisting on doing something that is not even wajib. Okay, inshallah, that's enough for today. Thank you so much for your time. Keep us in your du'as, and inshallah see you tomorrow. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Thank you for your speech again.
Jazakallah.
We'll see you tomorrow, inshallah.
See you inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Well, this is a reminder, just a dua tonight, inshallah, at 10 o'clock.